Thank you to Genkino for sponsoring a portion of this video.
So it's been about 13 months and over 20,000 miles with this guy. This is my Launch Edition R1T. I got a lot of thoughts. We've done road trips on it, used it for hauling stuff. I've used it just as my everyday car for now the better part of a year. Going into all this, I was a bit nervous. New car company, pretty early VIN too, it's in the 2600s. But I took a chance and I got some thoughts on the whole R1T after now a year and a lot of miles. So I don't know how you guys feel about Rivian, whether or not they're gonna be here in a few years. That's up for you to decide, ultimately with your wallet. I took the plunge though and decided to go with the R1T. And now again, 20,000 miles in, I've been really happy. I've taken it in for service one time. It wasn't really necessary. I just wanted to get it looked at to make sure all was good before we went on about a 600-mile road trip to Yosemite. It has had no issues. I've had no real glitches. I've had no hardware failures, no software failures. The car overall has been incredibly solid. Now, it's not to say it has been perfect. There are some build issues. I've got some panel gaps on the sides. They said everything was within spec, but nothing that's been like glaring or things I noticed really after I took delivery of it at all. Things I was so worried about when I initially took delivery, things like maybe some orange peel on the paint, I never thought of ever again after I started driving the truck. Storage options in this truck have been absolutely incredible. From the truck bed to the absolutely gigantic front trunk to the gear tunnel, it's been perfect. I drive my kids to school in the morning. I have 3 kids. I needed something that could handle all 3 kids.
Nate's in camp.
But does Nate fit nicely in the back there with you guys?
Yes.
Do all 3 of you fit back there?
Yes.
Say, we love the R1T.
We are the R1T.
And I can very comfortably fit all 3 in here. I got 2 in boosters, 1 in a car seat. If you have some combination of those, you can get 3 car seats across. This has been a surprisingly practical family car. In fact, I would say this has been the best family car that I have ever had. For work, like I said, it's been helpful to haul stuff around, but also hauling my family around has been incredibly helpful. I mean, I can't count how many times I've taken my kids to baseball practice. They're putting on cleats, sitting on the gear tunnel door. I've got baseball bags thrown in the truck bed. No matter what I have to bring with me, this truck can handle it. It's helped us with a million Costco runs. We've brought a bunch of plants. We've had a plant in front of our house. It's just been really good to have. So I love the front trunk is powered. I use it like a trunk because it's so much easier to open and close just with a button. I don't love the stadium seating kind of headlights here that look like Tylenols to me. I don't love that design, but I've grown to accept it. But the front trunk is huge. I mean, this is legit what it looks like all the time. My kids are in camp for baseball. I got 1 baseball bag. I got 2 baseball bags in there. I keep this in my car in case anybody ever needs a jump. I can just plug into the outlets and I can give them a jump, try to be a good Samaritan. I got more baseball gloves in here that are necessary. And then underneath this, I got I got a bunch of junk under there. Don't judge me by that. Ton of space, groceries, whatever you want. Plus it's powered. I know there are concerns with range and how the range on the truck is. So I've got the Launch Edition. So it's the quad motor, large pack. I have the off-road wheels, so it definitely reduces range. When I charge this up to 100%, I get about 300 miles, and the range estimate is pretty accurate to actually what I really get. I've only ever really had to test that though on that road trip to Yosemite. Generally I'll charge up to 85% and I get about 250, 256 miles. Maybe that's not enough for you, I don't know. But for me, it's been absolutely perfect. I charge at home and I very rarely ever have to worry about range. It does have a CCS charger. I certainly wish they would go the Tesla's NACS. Maybe they will at some point.
All right, so future John here. I thought I was being all good, filming that video nice and early. And since then, Rivian, I think, shocked a lot of people and announced their switch from CCS to Tesla's North American charging standard, which is awesome. So some of the charging things won't be an issue for folks looking to get a Rivian in 2025 or later. For those trucks and SUVs that have CCS, Rivian's going to give a free adapter that should come sometime next year. And then if you get a Rivian that has NECS, they're gonna give you a free adapter to CCS. So good news for everybody.
I went over the entire truck. We did our initial review on it. So if you want to watch that, we'll link to it here and down below. So there are a couple of things that make the R1T unique, and one of the biggest ones, I think, is the gear tunnel. So it's a bit of extra storage that goes all the way across the width of the car. This has been great for putting in baseball bags, skis, snowboards. There was supposed to be a camp kitchen that went in there, but it never ended up coming out. This thing here has been great. You can sit on it, can handle up to 300 pounds. Also inside of it, you've got a hose for the built-in air compressor in the back. So that's awesome. The design here is really cool. There's one design flaw that I didn't think about. It comes to a point right here, and it's like right at like kneecap height for me. And I haven't hit it yet, but my wife bashed her leg into it and got a pretty gnarly bruise because it just comes to a point. So I wish that was a little bit more rounded. I just got to be, I'm very aware of it now when I come up to it, but the gear tunnel has been absolutely awesome to have.
So the Rivian lives mostly in my garage. In the back of my house, it's been relatively busy. We actually built a pool earlier this year, which has been awesome to have finally as we head into summer. But I'm learning a lot about having a pool. It's the first one that I've ever had. It's hard to keep those things clean, which I guess makes sense. It's a big open thing of water, and it's also super expensive to hire a pool person to come and sort of clean that for you all the time. But fortunately, I'm in the world of tech, and tech has an answer for that problem. Meet the Genkino P1. It is a pool cleaning robot, and it does exactly what you would expect it to do. So it was designed by top engineers from DJI, which already gave me a bunch of confidence. So you charge this thing up for about 3 hours, drop it in your pool. It looks a little dramatic. The bubbles pop up, it sinks to the bottom, and you've got 4 hours of pool cleaning action. And because engineers from DJI, it's going to do some intelligent mapping while it is underwater and going to clean all the gross things that are on the bottom of your pool. And as I learned, and as you can see, your pool may look clean, but put one of these things on the bottom, you're going to find there are a lot of dead bugs, dirt, and other gross things you probably don't want floating around your pool. A big question, I think, with something like this is like, that's great, but it's wireless, it's cordless. What's gonna happen when it runs out of battery? It'll clean your whole pool for 4 hours, which is enough for like 2,500 square feet of pool. The one cord it does have that floats up to the surface, and you just pick it up, pull it out, plug it back in, and it is totally ready to go. I was really surprised what this thing actually cleaned and what it actually was able to do out of a pool that, again, at least looked relatively clean. The tech was there with the intelligent mapping and knew where to go and how to do it. And also the actual cleaning part was there too, which was really kind of cool to actually see. So the Genkino P1 is $549, which is obviously not cheap. But think about how much you're paying for a pool man over years and years and years. It definitely starts to save you some money. There's also the Genkino P1 SE, which is a bit cheaper. They can kind of do most of the same things. If you have a pool, this is definitely a worthwhile investment. If you want to check it out and even get $50 off your purchase, I'll put a link down below, but use code TECHBF50 to save $50 off your order. But again, all the information will be in the description.
So the lift gate on it is nice. You can sit on it, do normal truck things. So it is a 4.5 foot bed, but if you lift this up, there's a gooseneck hinge. So this is load bearing, so you could extend things out if you needed to. That's been awesome. One of the things I was excited about when I got it was the power tonneau cover. I don't know if you've been following Rivian's history with the power tonneau cover, but evidently these things like immediately failed and broke. I think it's because the way they were initially designed, there's only one motor in there, and it takes them piece by piece all the way back, and they got kind of torqued weird. Rivian stopped shipping the power tonneau cover on their R1Ts, and they said a new refined version's coming out later on this year. I don't know, we'll see. But every time I've opened this thing up, my heart stops because there's gonna be a time it's gonna break. But for the sake of a video, I will do it on camera and show you what it looks like. So it goes piece by piece all the way back. Hopefully this is not the last time I get to open this thing up. There's definitely a case, I think, of being over-designed, and ultimately goes all the way back in. And you've got a pretty easy to access tailgate here. You do have in the back here a couple outlets, which has been nice to have. You got two. I actually powered one of my kids' entire birthday parties. We had those game trucks come. Every time they plugged into our garage, it kept tripping our breaker, so we couldn't do it. So we plugged into the truck, and it worked absolutely perfectly, so that's nice to have. It's not a 240 you get with Ford's Pro Power Assist. I wish that would have been nice to have back here. But having outlets has been nice, you know, for that one instance. But also, we sometimes do shoots. We'll go out in places with no electricity, and having a giant battery pack has made that whole process pretty easy. The air compressor is nice though. If you get a flat tire, you got to fill it up, or you're going off-roading, you want to air down, air up your tires. Actually, we did a review of this. The guys took it off-roading and they aired down and then aired up the tires. It's cool to have. I did take this off-roading once though, which was fun, but then I got it pinstriped on the side, never want to do it again. But it did handle pretty well. It's really capable truck if that is your jam. So the door handles on the truck, seems like every electric car over engineers door handles. So they go flush and they come out to open it. You just pull it. That's fine. In the garage though, we leave the car unlocked. I have walked by and hit my arm or some part of my body on this door handle like a million times. Should probably just lock it and keep it shut. Speaking of locking it, like every modern EV, uses your phone as a key. It comes with a key fob and a card and all that kind of stuff. It's hit or miss with the phone. There's been software updates where it's definitely gotten better, but like 85% of the time it works great. 15% of the time I gotta like stand in front of it, open the app, close it, try to get it to work. Maybe that's the nature of just using Bluetooth as a key. I do wish that was better. When I had my Model 3, which is now 2 years ago, I feel like that worked more often than this does. So interior of the car has held up as well as the exterior. The build quality's been outstanding. I mean, they don't have any like weird creaks, nothing's fallen apart. I don't have rattles when I drive or anything. Things that I was worried about with a new car from a new company. So thumbs up to that. So I think when you're in your car, you're pretty aware of like where your phone is and what it's doing. Rivian over-engineered a bunch of stuff in here. So underneath, there's a wireless charging pad. I think I saw it tear down. There's like a bunch of coils there. I never got it to charge any of my phones really well. So a little aftermarket accessory with MagSafe kind of took care of that. I thought this was a waste of space down here. I actually used it like a ton. One thing I have not used a ton that I was pretty jazzed about when I first got the car though, is this camp speaker that's built in there. I think I've used it twice, and both times it was just to like say that I used it. So I don't know, I probably could have done something else with that space in there, but I don't know, if I ever want to bump some music, it's nice to have. Software side. So let's start with the bad and go to the good, because there's a lot of good. So it's using Amazon's Alexa, which in a car is not great. It's great for asking it to tell me the weather or to like read me a story from Audible, but actually doing stuff in the car doesn't work that well. Sometimes it'll get out of sync with contact for voice dials, and I still have no way to send texts with my voice. Rivian CEO RJ Scaron just said no plans to adopt CarPlay or Android Auto. Thumbs down to that if you're watching. So hopefully things like that will ultimately come. Navigation has gotten significantly better. When I first got it a year ago, I could not rely on navigation at all to get me where I wanted to go. To their credit though, they've fixed it and done a tremendous job with it. Now I can actually rely on it. Its estimations are pretty good for time. It's done a really nice job sort of figuring all that stuff out. It's also done a really nice job for chargers, showing you where chargers are. You can filter it by network and availability, from Rivian's chargers to Tesla's, EVgo, Electrify America, ChargePoint. You can see how fast they are, how many are open and available. And if you're trying to go somewhere far, it'll route you to those chargers, really similar to what Tesla has here. So I really liked that. And I think Rivian did a great job with software. They didn't, at the beginning, cram a lot in here. There wasn't a lot of features in software, but what they had in here worked really well. And then over the year, as software updates have come, that's kind of helped show what they've added has worked really well. So now I've got things I didn't have a year ago, like dog mode. That's been awesome. I now have a dash cam built in, which is relatively recent, where I can go ahead and view a dash cam. When I honk the horn for longer than a second, records, or I push the button up there and it'll record as well. Those are all things that weren't there before. I've been really impressed with the speed here as well. It's pretty responsive. It's the most responsive and the best UI I've used outside of Tesla. If you're coming from anything that's not a Tesla, you'll be blown away by this. If you're coming from a Tesla, I think you'll just think it works really well. You won't be a detriment to what you're thinking it's gonna do or be. In the vein of kind of over-engineering stuff, I think obviously it took a lot of influence from Tesla. All the vents are controlled on screen. I think in a lot of ways it'd be a lot easier just to have a physical louver to move. Outside that though, I don't mind having the temperature controls here on screen. I've gotten really get used to it, and they work very well. I wish there was separate climate zones for the back. It's just one kind of AC, which is a bit unfortunate. If I hit this, I can control the back, whether it's on or off, but can't make a different temperature. So that would have been nice to have. So about 5 years ago, I had a Model X. The Model X has a big glass roof, and it looked awesome, but it let in just an insane amount of heat and got so hot in the car. I was pretty nervous about the glass roof here on the Rivian. I oftentimes forget that I've got a glass roof here. This does an absolutely amazing job with tinting and keeping heat out. That was a real big concern with kids and driving dogs around, but it's been pretty close to perfect and probably the best glass roof that I've had or used. Other stuff that I like too, it's got HomeLink built in, which is awesome. Control my garage door, all that stuff from here. It doesn't have the ability to geofence it, so it won't turn, won't, as I drive closer, won't automatically open it. Hopefully that's stuff that comes later with software. And listen, I know the Tesla folks are gonna tell me they don't need it and it's a gimmick and all that kind of stuff, but 360 cameras I use all the time. This is probably one of my most used features in the car. I love having it to make it's a big truck, make sure I'm in the line, make sure I parked right. It's just been really nice and handy to have. I think I have a hard time getting a car that doesn't have 360 cameras. Having said that, as you can see here, the front camera is still a potato. The rear camera is a slightly better potato. They improved with some software. It's not great. I do have cameras on the side as well, and I wish when I put my signal on, it would show me those blind spot cameras either here or here. That supposedly is coming, but not here yet. One thing I haven't talked about is the drive of the car. I was nervous with the off-road wheels, it's gonna drive a bit bumpy. This thing drives so well and has no business being this quick. For a truck that's, like 6,000 plus pounds, I expect it to be a bit of a dog. It is fast. I generally drive it in sort of the all-purpose mode, not even in sport. And I can pass pretty much anybody I want to pass. I've got abundance of power. Earlier in the year here, we had like torrential rains in California for about 3 months. And being able to drive a car that was this heavy with these tires, I always felt really safe. I felt really planted. Which is nice to have. I haven't done any snow driving or sand driving, but there are modes for that as well if you live in a climate where those areas are. So I can't comment on range loss in severe cold, but at least here where it's generally between 55 and 75 most of the time, the range is exactly as advertised. And in my year I've had the car, I've had no range loss at all. In fact, with software improvements and efficiency findings, I have more range now than I had when I got the car 20,000 miles ago. So that's been awesome. So 13 months and over 20,000 miles. It's probably been the best car I've ever driven. It's been perfect for work. It's been amazing for family. It's fun. It's got the tech to keep me interested, and it's constantly getting better. I can't speak for Rivian's future. I certainly hope they're going to be here for a long time, but in this climate, who knows? I absolutely love the R1T. In fact, I loved it so much that my wife got an R1S, and she adores that as well. I don't know if it's the right truck for you. Maybe you have concerns about range or bed size or whatever. For me, it has been flawless and it's been perfect. I would get this thing again in an absolute heartbeat. And I can't wait for the next year and another 20,000 miles on it.